Hello everybody, this is a video about glutathione. Someone posted a question on one of my videos, a video from about a year ago that was all about glutathione, and two people actually just like 3 or 4 days ago posted questions or comments and questions on that video, so interesting timing. And the one question was about the person was basically saying they're getting intravenous glutathione like every 4 to 6 weeks or something to that effect, and they were wondering if there's any way to take it orally or get it into their body some other way that doesn't require getting it administered intravenously. And then just kind of interestingly enough, almost in a serendipitous occurrence. The other person that posted the comment on the video said that they were taking regular glutathione. It wasn't really doing anything for them, like just an oral form of glutathione, but then they switched over to liposomal glutathione, and that seemed to work well for them, which is wonderful. So that's a perfect, that second comment was a perfect segue into what my response was going to be to the person asking about IV glutathione alternatives. Now, as per usual, nothing I'm saying should be construed as medical advice. This is for informational purposes only. If you need medical advice, please ask your healthcare provider to provide that advice for you. What I found in my practice, years and years ago, we did a lot of IV glutathione, and for some patients it was very, very helpful. It seemed to be very helpful for upregulating detox pathways. We had a number of patients dealing with diagnoses of Parkinson's disease, MS, certain other neurological conditions, mold toxicity, different things, and sometimes the IV glutathione would be very, very helpful, which is wonderful, but it's expensive to have IVs done. It's logistically challenging if you don't live right around the corner from a clinic that offers these treatments. Some people don't have the easiest veins to access. Like, there's different logistical challenges with giving IV glutathione. And for some of these folks, they really seemed to do the best when they were getting the IV glutathione every single week. So it just was helping, but it was becoming cost prohibitive or logistically prohibitive or challenging for a lot of them. And once upon a time, I've been practicing for 14 years. So in my earlier years of practice, there were some shall we say, IV glutathione alternatives that were out there, and they just didn't really seem to work that well. And this is, again, in my experience, maybe other clinicians had different experiences, but there was acetyl glutathione, I think, at one point. You get these capsules. They were pretty expensive. They didn't really seem to work. There's also a phase or a fad at one point where there were these glutathione-based creams. You were supposed to kind of absorb them intradermally or transdermally, I should say. I didn't really find those worked either. And then for a long time, there's just been regular old glutathione capsules, but unfortunately, glutathione is very, very poorly absorbed in the intestinal tract. It's just not absorbed as a whole molecule, and so it needs to be broken down into its component parts. Glutathione is a tripeptide made up of cysteine, glutamate, and glycine. So basically you have your lovely, glutathione molecule, and then it gets broken down into its three constituent parts that gets absorbed into the bloodstream, and then it's left up to the cells to reassemble it. And so that's all well and good, but this doesn't usually lead to clinical benefits. It's kind of like, why wouldn't you just eat more protein in your diet or something like that to try to build that up? Now, you could take something like N-acetylcysteine, a modified form of the amino acid cysteine, which is the rate-limiting component for synthesizing glutathione. That's going to have more of an impact. So not throwing amino acid supplementation under the bus. It can be really helpful, but not terribly helpful to take just regular old oral glutathione. But then probably, I don't remember the exact timeline, but probably 7 or 8 years ago, certain companies started coming out with these liposomal glutathiones, and liposomal glutathione probably predates 7 or 8 years ago, but there are different methods of making liposomes. To my understanding, there are really high quality liposomes and not so high quality liposomes. So certain companies started coming out with these high quality liposomes, and lo and behold, those treatments those products seem to really help. And the various companies that were putting these out, they'd say, yeah, here's the research literature showing that our liposomes, people take it orally and then it increases in the bloodstream, and that's great. And so we have the kind of scientific data or research data indicating that yes, this actually gets into the bloodstream, or at least it increases the levels of glutathione, presumably because it's being directly absorbed. But then the other question is, okay, just because the research literature shows this and that, what does it actually do in clinical practice? And so I had patients who were doing well with their regular IV glutathiones. They were noticing distinct benefits from that. And so I said to some of them, hey, could you try this oral liposomal glutathione instead and see if it helps. It's going to be cheaper and more logistically convenient and all that. And some of them said, no, I'm going to stick with what I'm doing. Others said, sure, I'll give it a try. And so what I found is that the majority of folks who switched on to the liposomal glutathione, they found that it really helped it worked just as well, or at least, 80 to 100% as well as the intravenous glutathione. So that got me really excited, started being able to prescribe it to more folks because not everyone could afford or access the IV glutathione. I work with patients all over the place, all across Canada, other countries. Not everybody can access IV glutathione for various reasons. So I was able to prescribe it quite a lot more easily, and it's been really, really helpful in my practice. So now it's one of my top 10 supplements, let's say, that I would generally prescribe and find to be clinically helpful and effective in patients where it seems to be well indicated. So when it comes to liposomal glutathione, and I have no financial interest in any companies that make liposomal glutathione. We sell some liposomal glutathione out of our clinic, and we do modestly mark up our products, but beyond that, I'm not, whether more people listen to this video and they go buy from the companies I'm about to mention, I don't benefit financially in any way. I'm not on their board of directors or what have you, but just to share from my personal experience, and again, not providing any medical advice, please, work with your healthcare provider. If they say, hey, I've had really good experience with X, Y, or Z product line, that's great. Listen to your healthcare provider, or don't. I'm just here to let you know about my own experience or what I've seen with my patients. But the companies that seem to have the most effective, or the products seem to be the most effective, best absorbed glutathiones, the one that we primarily use here in our clinic is from a company called Designs for Health. They are an American-based company, if memory serves, but they do have a Canadian branch, so we can get those products here in Canada as well. There's another company called Quicksilver Scientific. They actually, to my understanding, make the liposomal glutathione that's sold by Designs for Health, so it's just sold under a different brand name. So the Quicksilver glutathione, I believe, is the exact same stuff. There's also another company called, we just have a harder time getting Quicksilver products here in Canada, so I know I'm very thankful that Designs for Health makes it easy for us to access the Quicksilver product here. Even they have their own label on it, but again, I believe it's the same stuff. There's another company called Research Nutritionals. They have a glutathione product, which I think is called Tri-Fortify, but don't quote me on that. And that seems to be comparably effective to the Quicksilver / Designs for Health liposomal glutathione. And those are really the most effective ones that I've seen. There are other liposomal glutathiones out there in liquid form, encapsulated forms. I haven't really seen them work as well. And I can't sit here and say that, oh, I've tried every single, or I have clinical experience with every single liposomal glutathione. I'm not saying there aren't other good ones out there, but I have seen other brands where the patient's like, oh, I found a good deal on this, buying this liposomal glutathione at the health food store, or bought it online, and I switched over, and like, it just isn't working as well. Or they'll come in saying like, oh, I've been taking this glutathione for a while. How's it working for you? Well, it hasn't really helped my brain fog, or my, helping to reduce my mycotoxin load, or whatever it is, quite as well as I was hoping it would. Well, why don't you try one of these other ones? And sometimes they try the ones that I like the best, and that doesn't work either, because that's evidently not what they need. But in more often than not, if it's indicated, not everybody needs glutathione, not everyone's going to benefit from glutathione, but if it seems to be well indicated and it hasn't been working from another product line, in a majority of cases when they switch to these other liposomal glutathiones, it does seem to work, or it does work. It seems to work better. I think maybe one of the reasons why the Quicksilver / Designs for Health as well as the Research Nutritionals liposomal glutathiones work perhaps better than some other products is that not all the other products are in a liquid form. A bunch of them are in encapsulated forms, and I think there's something special about holding the glutathione under one's tongue for about 30 seconds before swallowing it. I believe that sublingual absorption helps to facilitate a better delivery into the bloodstream, and I think maybe that's why some of those other products don't work necessarily as well, at least based on my clinical experience. So thank you for the question. I hope that was useful information. Thank you to the person who posted about their experience, and again, very nice segue into my response to the other question. If anybody has any comments or questions on this topic, please post in the comment section below. If you've used various forms of glutathione, if you say, hey, I've been using transdermal glutathione for years and it's the best thing since sliced bread, or I've used this other brand and it works really well, like, please consider sharing in the comment section. I know folks listen, or read the comments rather. They probably don't listen to them, but they read them, and so it's just sharing knowledge if you feel comfortable posting. If you have any questions about any other topic, also please feel free to post in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer as soon as I can.